Monday, June 2025 at 1 p.m. So we'll do call to order, sorry, just did that, and roll call.
Nelson,
Here,
Bell,
Here.
Blaskowitz,
Here.
Berto, here, and Aaron's is excused.
yes. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to make a motion to remove item 5B, Market Square parking lot encumbrance and potential solutions, as this particular item will be discussed after the closed session at the board will be discussed at the board and then come back to us.
Well,
I will,
I thought that there was things in there though that we should be discussing.
Well, I thought that the outcome of the closed session, which I understand the action out of the closed session of the board, was not to refer it to parks, but for Julie to come back to the board with information, and then that information would go to.
so I took something completely different than both of you out there. I took that we were looking at this, but for other properties other than the one that was included. We were waiting for you to get some clarity from the DNR on that before we talked about it. It was gonna come back to parks. That was my understanding of what the discussion was at the board. So at this point, I don't think that what's in the packet is something that we necessarily should discuss today, but I do think it is something that we'll refer to a future.
It should move to a future meeting, but not today. I agree.
Did you make a motion to approve the interim to?
Yeah, I made a motion.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
Right. Right.
Aye. Denise?
Post.
Okay. All right, moving forward, do I have a motion to approve the agenda, as amended?
You just made that.
Just did, sorry, I've never done that before. All right, let's see, approving the minutes of May 5th, 2025, we'll do that first on the following meeting. So do I have a motion or do I have edits to the May 5th, 2025 meeting minutes? Anybody? Any edits?
Yeah, I'll correct the date.
Good, okay.
So I'll talk about this here, and this one, this is just a general meetings observation, since we are losing Heidi and her ability to do minutes, I think that we should be a little bit more realistic on our expectations of what's going into minutes, especially on meetings that are being recorded. We can go back and we can get the nitty-gritty detail of the meeting in there. And I think it should be, well, Heidi, this is an extraordinary job. And it's nice to have. I don't think that we should expect that moving forward.
Noted.
That said, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval of minutes for May 19th, 2025, special meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 4, comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public. We'll do those that are present right now. Any comments or concerns from those present? Anybody?
Ask, first, what authority you have versus are you an advisory board or do you actually make rules?
We, as a Parks Committee, we can vote on items, and those ultimately get referred to the village board.
So the village board has the final say on any decisions you make.
As it relates to, let's see, as it relates to codes, as it relates to contracts, as it relates to what other items? As it relates to financial matters, yes, ma'am.
And not everything, just some things.
Yeah, if it's really more like a staff directive or something, this committee would deal with it.
So it's an advisory board.
On some issues, yes, because if it's something involving a contract, financial, or establishing a policy, that a written policy, that is in the form of a recommendation to the board, and then the board would finalize that.
Because I only see 2 citizens on this board and everybody else gets a salary. Well, you have 3 from the board, which is a consistent pattern. I don't know why all these boards have so many trustees on them.
Well, those are on that is part of our bylaws. Each committee has bylaws, and those bylaws outline how many citizens and how many trustees. And it's never more than 3, because otherwise that would be a quorum, and some actually have fewer than 3. It just depends on the committee. And some have fewer than, depending on the size of the committee, some have more than 2 citizens.
All right, no, I just wondered because I see a consistent pattern of all of the committees having. I mean, when you have only 7, there are 4, the votes tend to be your way. I don't see a lot of citizen input.
You'd be surprised. It doesn't always, it depends, but not always.
Well, every trustee is a citizen as well, too.
We are, correct. And then as checks and balances is the right way to say it, but, as we said, for financial matters, which does include contracts and so forth. Then it goes to the board, and you're right, they're all trustees, there are 7 of us. And we are all residents.
Okay, I
And,
just wondered.
and also, we are, granted, the citizens that are appointed to committees are appointed. They're not voted for. However, the trustees that are on committees and those that are on the board, there's an election and they're voted. People vote them in. People vote them out, people vote them in, and there's different, but so that's what we think is the fairest. And how it works right now.
Okay. Just to know the structure, because I'm not used to this kind of structure. I'm not used to the council having that much say in committees, but that's another story.
Okay, well, I would encourage you to go to the village website. You can look up committees and you can look up committees, and then you can also look up the bylaws for the committees. It's pretty easy to find on the village website, and that will give you some insight into the makeup of those. And we would always encourage people who are interested in joining committees to just call the village administration office, or go over and
I
visit.
applied and was never received a reply, so.
When did you apply?
How did I apply 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
It's at least 2 years, yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay.
Never heard a word.
Well, send me an email, send me an email and
Well-
I'll certainly have a conversation with you. I mean, we just amended finance to include 2 citizen members.
It was put in your box and nothing. No
Okay.
reply, nothing.
Okay, let's have a conversation after this meeting.
Well, if you consider doing it again, or anyone else in the room, or anyone else on Zoom, I think those are always welcome. Okay, anybody else in the room? Okay, Heidi, we've got some folks online, right?
We do. Does anyone online want to speak?
Comments and correspondence, or not correspondence, but comments from Zoom?
Or else they have very close-lipped.
Anyone? Okay, we're gonna move on then. Okay, we are gonna move on to 5A, which is ice rink, draft, the draft lease.
Okay, so this is, the lease that, there was a draft from the Friends group of the ice rink, then also from Randy, and so this has been going back and forth. At the last meeting, I know there were some comments about longer periods to notify people, for example, of right to renew. I believe this document here incorporates all the concerns that the committee had at the last meeting. I think it addresses everything that the Friends of the Ice Rink had. So this is the final draft that we have, that if the committee is okay with this lease, would go forward to the board. Now, we still have the operational agreement. I sent that to Randy 2 months ago, or whenever we first talked about that, so I'm still waiting for a final, or I should say, first draft of that to come back. The Friends group has made they proposed some edits to that, which have not been finalized or put into a final agreement.
Okay,
So that one is still coming, but this is the first phase anyway, which is the lease agreement.
okay. Okay, discussion?
I had just 2 comments after reading the contract. The first one was, I think they call it for the Is my premises, do we
What
have,
section are you on in the lease?
I don't have the lease in front of me, I just have my notes.
Is it insurance or what is it?
No, this was the definition of the property that's later
Oh.
referenced with it.
Okay.
Overhead from our GIS or county land records. What I'm wondering is, for insurance purposes, will we require a survey so the specific area related to the ice rink is identified? Does our insurance or will anyone's insurance require that?
Our insurance has not in the past, because we've had other properties that we've described just in an exhibit. You know, this is described as, basically just the ice rink area, or what's shown on the photo. We could add that.
I guess if we're in communication with the village attorney, I would ask whether or not the description is in the contract is adequate for insurance purposes.
Well, I know it is because we've sent these to our insurance company, but we're not able to find it.
Okay. And then the second comment I have is, it seemed like the liability insurance at a $1 million cap for multiple incidents, it seemed low for liability insurance. They are going to be playing hockey there.
Yeah, so, you know, they have to have their insurance, we still have our insurance. That is the recommended insurance from our attorney that we require on all lease agreements.
So it can't be more than that.
I mean, it could be if you want it to be, but that is the standard that we put on all of them. And I think that's a valid point, Mike. I mean, you know, it's an ice rink, it could be worse, but that's the standard that we require on all of the lease agreements.
Yeah,
So then over that liability cap, if the village would be responsible, that's a direct expense to the village. If there's a claim that exceeds the $1 million cap.
Don't we have a certain amount of indemnity? For recreation?
Yeah, there's, depending what there is, and Denise is right, there's recreational immunity, which is if someone gets hurt on public property doing recreational activities, the recreational immunity law covers a lot of that, unless we were negligent. You know, like, let's say they got hurt because we failed to fill a big hole and somebody fell in it or something, that we would go through our insurance company. But if somebody just gets hurt on a safe area, you know, there's no fault of the village, we would be covered by the recreational immunity law.
Okay,
I mean, I'm fine with raising it. I don't know that it's a lot more expensive. We've never, you know,
I don't think we need to. I mean, I think
You
the
don't?
recreational indemnification is gonna cover some of this.
okay, I didn't know that
Is
existed.
it gross negligence is the standard for it?
I'm not sure, I just know it's always been you know, if the owner is negligent, you know, they're not covered under it.
As long as we don't do something that's a reasonable person would think we should do or should.
yeah,
He's worried about it, two people getting injured in
Sure.
a hockey
Yeah.
game.
two people get paralyzed.
Makes sense.
It may just be worth double checking with the attorney because this is a new venture for us. It's different than we've done in the past.
Sure.
It may not hurt to ask the question.
I can ask again, but this did come
But
from
I
the attorney, so.
But I understand Nate and Denise's point that we have an established practice and we've gone back to the attorney on this in the past, and that's a standard, that's a standard. The only thing here is it is new and different a bit.
Yeah. I don't know what the standard is for other ice rinks.
Well, it's not really new and different, it's just that somebody else is gonna be
Carrying the
responsible.
light. Yeah,
So otherwise, you know, everything else is the same.
well, but somebody else, the question being, let's say they would go bankrupt and they don't make their insurance payment. Right, so that's what's different, right? In the past, we've
You
always
have to
done.
give us a copy of that.
Sure. Okay. Look, if we're comfortable with it, I just want to make sure these were vetted. I think the contract was good. It was simple, it was short. Those were the two concerns I had. Do we need a more formal definition of the space for the agreement? Sounds like we vetted that before and we don't need to.
Right.
And then was the liability insurance a requirement that they purchase that cap of $1 million for multiple incidents enough? If we're saying that that's typically what we recommend to third parties or we do ourselves in the past, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Do we have, Miles, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any further input you want to give us.
Couple points. If you are looking, I do believe there is a survey on file that if you wanted to insert some language that would define the parameters of the site, I think it breaks down where the rink is and everything. Because we have a copy of that for bidding documents. That might be a resource if you really wanted to make sure you had those details in there. The other thing, as far as like the not to put the fear in people's heads that hockey is so much more dangerous. I mean, there's soccer played on those fields, there's tennis, there's pickleballers can run into each other. Um, there's you have a whole waterfront committee where people are playing around water and jumping off docks. So like in the grand scheme of things, like it's not bad to raise that question, but that would be a question for all of the different parks resources that would probably be, I would imagine water activities are much more risky from a liability standpoint than almost any other activity. So that would be one thought. Um, and then the one thing, and I looked through the lease, it looks good. I think you addressed all of our concerns. It just dawned on me again. There was that question from the last meeting about having language in there so that it was um, that we were essentially renting it for the winter months and that it wouldn't preclude the village from using it in the summer months. And I just didn't check the lease and it just popped in my head that to make sure that was addressed in there. I mean, it's nothing like we would say no to anybody, but um, that was just one thing that came up at the last meeting. But that was it. Otherwise, I think it addressed all of our concerns.
So I did ask the attorney about that, Miles, and I didn't get anything back from him. Because I was thinking, well, maybe the lease is maybe it just runs December to March every year or something to that effect. But
Yeah.
I didn't get anything back to him, so I don't know what we want to do about that. I mean,
Yeah.
The way it's written right now, it says. It talks about the fact that you're expected to run it between December to February. I'm sorry, that's when we have our. Hold on, I'm looking at the surrender and termination. Yeah, we don't have anything in there. I mean, we could add it. Like I said, I asked the attorney, he did not change it. But we could change that ourselves if that's what the village wants to do. I have another question, Miles. Originally, the very first draft I know that I wrote, I had that it was the Friends of the Ice Rink was basically a group that had a pending application for nonprofit status. And your attorney changed it to a Wisconsin non-stock nonprofit corporation. Have you received that non-stock nonprofit corporation registration yet or approval?
We have the incorporation through the state, but we still have the 501c3 pending.
Okay.
So I have an EIN number if you needed that or something.
So I just wanted to make sure that if we're entering a lease with a Wisconsin non-stock nonprofit corporation, that we're legally already a Wisconsin non-stock nonprofit corporation.
Okay.
Or is it an invalid lease?
Yeah. So I have a stupid question. Is a Wisconsin non-stock nonprofit corporation a 501c3 or C6?
No, it's just a corporation.
Just a
You have to
corporation.
File separately for
Okay.
that.
So you've got an EIN, so you're incorporated, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're waiting for the nonprofit status. Got it. Okay.
I thought at the last meeting, we had also talked about having 12 months in there instead of 6.
I remember, because I read through the minutes, actually, in these minutes. But we went back and forth on it, and I thought we did have 12 months.
And I think the draft I actually got from Miles had 6, right, Miles? Do you remember?
6 regarding I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. You mean like this?
Section number 2, right to renew. Or, and I think that it's another place also.
Oh yeah, we may have to, that's right. Yeah, I recall that as well.
Usually through this, hold on. Aaron's asked about the use of the rink during the summer months, if it is under lease and being used for other activities such as basketball or pickleball. Berto echoed this fact and everyone agreed that this needs to be brought up to the attorneys to contemplate a response. One thought was June through October. Bill pointed out whatever the agreement, yeah, it will be crucial to make sure that any summer use of the rink doesn't damage its surface. That's all that's in the notes.
Denise, are you talking about like the notice of termination?
No, we're talking about like, what do we do in the summer months when it's not an ice rink?
No, that wasn't my
Oh,
question.
No.
sorry.
That's what Julie and I were just talking about, Louise. What Denise, I think, is referencing is notice of if we decided we didn't want to continue or the village decided they didn't want to continue. Am I understanding that correct, Denise?
Yes, and also it's under renew also.
Yeah.
And sometimes we know how slow things can work. And especially if there's an issue, and it was brought up at our last meeting, I think we should change the 6 months to the 12 months.
It was brought up.
Where appropriate.
I think it was 90 days and before, and I think it was changed to 6 months. No?
And yeah,
So-
12 months was good for us too. I think I agreed with that in that last meeting as well. So I did not see that.
Section
When I was
2
going
would
through
be, Section 2 and Section 3 would be changed to 12 months.
And in that same section in the next sentence. And somebody needs to explain this to me. For clarification, in the event such notice is given by landowner. And operator desires to nevertheless continue with the agreement, the parties agree to engage in good faith negotiations to find an alternative location for the ice rink. What?
It was put in by Miles attorney.
Yeah, that's,
What does that mean, Miles?
I have to think about that.
It's not going in your backyard, Miles.
No, I will double check. And I haven't heard back from our attorney after he was out last Friday, but I will run that by him as well. I don't see why that would be worded that way.
Okay.
Miss, can I get, I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask for clarification on number 3. It talks about line 3, it says the right to early termination of this agreement upon 90 days. Did you want that changed to 12 months as well?
No. So, and therein lies another question, 90 days notice to operator in the event operator fails to erect and operate. So the contract can be terminated if you don't raise the funds and if you don't erect it. Correct? It becomes a moot point.
Yeah.
At any time during the period December through February. So that's any December through February. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. What if you fail to erect it outside of December through February? There's something jumbled that just does not make sense in that paragraph.
Well, I think they were looking at it like prior to a season, prior to when you would normally start
But
operating.
it talks about erect and operate.
Like they should be separate.
Yeah. That separating it would be the best way to go.
Okay, so erect would be separate,
Correct.
operate is fine the way it is, erect would be. I know they're trying to get it done this year, would that be by January 1st, 2026?
What would be fair, Miles? No,
Well-
no, should give them a year.
Yeah, that's not gonna,
I just know they were trying to do it this summer.
I think that was gonna be.
Yeah, I think what might be safe is to make that,
I think we give them 2 years. That's usually what I think, if we follow what we do at Plan Commission, with, permits and development agreements, 2 years.
So how about within 2 years of the date of the agreement?
Yes.
okay,
And then under section 6, insurance. Last paragraph, certificates evidencing such insurance shall be furnished to landowner on an annual basis upon request by the landowner. I asked for that to be changed last month.
Okay,
That was when Heidi said that.
Yeah, Julie wasn't here, so the insurance company can send that just on an automatic basis.
Right. So it's automatically sent to us when they renew it. And then we get down to section 8, access to property. Where we talked about only the certain amount of time, whether it's December or November through March. But I think also needs to be inserted, so I'm sorry to say, I think this has to come back.
I agree.
So it goes back, so Miles will go back, your attorneys take a look and then Randy? That it?
Well, I think
well, I don't know if Randy's looked at it, right? Or has
He
he?
has, he has. I'm gonna edit it myself rather than have. I know last time Miles' attorney edited and then sent it to us and I sent it to Randy. I'll edit this myself and then I'll send it onto the attorneys, to Miles.
If it's gonna come back either to us or to the board. Can you do a track changes?
We do have, on the one you see, definitely.
Yes.
Well, can it go right back to, can it go to the board?
It could go to the
Back
board.
Parks, we should just send it, we should just
To the board?
refer to the board
And then hopefully it could get done later
Yeah.
this month.
faster.
I know last meeting we had talked about just having like our attorney and Randy go back and forth. So I don't know if that's how you want to.
I don't think that happened. I don't think they did. I don't think.
No, I know ours didn't hear from Randy,
But
so
I
I
don't
assume.
You're saying you're gonna edit it, it's gonna go to their attorney, then once they come back with their, send it
Nope,
over.
I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna send it to Miles and Randy.
Okay.
For their feedback.
And then hopefully it's in a place where it goes to the board, right?
Okay.
We need a vote on that?
Well, I think if it's just by consensus, those are the
Consensus.
changes and recommending it to the board.
Okay,
It's not final. The board is the one that's.
okay, just wanted to be sure.
So we should.
All right, so we have consensus on that, Mike, you're good with that? Okay. Miles, do you have any other questions?
No, just hit me up if there's any information you need, Julie, on that stuff, and I'll try and make sure our attorney is ready to review it as well. So we can keep her moving.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, on to item 5C.
I had one,
Oh, I'm sorry.
because I'm sorry that I follow this in the pulse, but just don't get it all. Does this ice rink thing involve the destruction of any of the 3 ball fields we have?
No.
So we're not, one time they were gonna take over that smaller one. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. 5C, Wisconsin Public Service Dark Sky Lighting Initiative and streetlights. So, Julie sent us a detailed synopsis of lumens. And we were to drive around and see what we thought. So discussion, anybody want to start with observations?
Well. By the time the street lights come on, I'm in bed.
That's one observation.
It's one observation. Secondly, I don't know how something of 14,000 lumens can be replaced with something that's 45, 90, or 135 and still be effective.
I just don't, after going out there and looking at them, I think that those are probably wattages, Julie. That could make sense, if those are wattages on LED versus HPS, but I don't know
Yeah.
that the lumen output.
Yeah, I don't think
Well, this was written by WPS. The part, everything in italics, like it says from WPS,
Mhm.
that's all written by WPS. That's their language. And then the minutes said you were looking for clarification on what is that in lumens? So then I went back to the other part of the memo from WPS and put those lumens in, to make sense. So, yeah, so
I mean, there's just no possible way. I mean, in one of my businesses, I mean, I have one single light bulb that's 800 lumens.
That's gonna be like a 60 or 75 watt equivalent bulb, which would be that much.
So,
yeah, but these are high power, so a high, I don't know.
no, they're not the they're not the sodium.
Well, what they're saying is, as of March 24th, all 65 HPS 100 watt, which I think were the high power sodium 100 watt. So I'm thinking that sodium has a different wattage than like your household light bulb, right?
Sure, no, lumens is kind of like the unit of measure for the light output that would. Wattage talks about how much electrical work is used to create that, where lumens is the actual light output on there. But in any case, I went around and I looked at these and I think the low output is good enough for any location in the village.
Including a dangerous
Yeah,
a dangerous intersection.
yeah, I mean, like, there
The
was a.
45 is what.
I
because
believe
there's
so.
3 different listed.
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe, going around in there, looking at them, I mean, like, so the thing that became apparent about the HPS is they are going all over. I mean, like, they're not nearly as focused, they bleed out a lot of other places. I also noticed that we've got some streetlights that aren't at intersections. Like, if you go on Scandia, there's a streetlight, and I didn't really pay attention to it till I'm actually driving around looking at streetlights. There's a streetlight between Birchwood and Woodcrest. So you've got an intersection of Scandia and Woodcrest, a street light just on Scandia in between those two, and then a street light at Birchwood and Scandia. Which didn't make sense to me why we need one there.
So just, we cannot ask them to lower that to the low one. They have told us, if you go to the last bullet on the first page, they've said that they can, the 8 that are left that they're looking for guidance on can only be replaced with a high output, which is the 135 lumens LED, or the medium output, 90 lumen LED.
So I did this last night around 11:30, way past my bedtime. But I was looking for the northern lights too, but I didn't see them. A couple of interesting observations. First of all, the decorative lamps that we have that run between Scandia and where I think they end at where we split off to 57. Those nice looking lamps that we have. I'm not sure you could lower those any more than they are right now and be safe. It's the main drag, it's where we have the most people walking around. I think people would be uncomfortable if they weren't quite as light. What's interesting is not many of our business owners put their lights on, probably because they get good lighting from the street lamps. Outside that section, to your point, Nate, where the lamps are, is a little random. And what's even more random is that the lumens and the color are all different. So, I mean, they're different. There's kind of rose colored ones, there's clearer ones, there's kind of purple ones. They're all different. And it probably would be good if we could make them a little more consistent while we're also implementing this dark sky lighting. And then the third observation is What really stands out as the biggest lighting pollution issue in the village is the whole area of the Door County Medical Center and the scan. You can see that from half to 3/4 of a mile away. And I just wondered, maybe we could even talk to them about turning down or turning off some of them at night, because that is really bright there. It's like there's a baseball game going on in those properties. So, I mean, I can't count, I agree with Nate. Wattage is how much power is used. That doesn't necessarily correlate precisely to how bright they are, because color is also included, but the street lamps, where they're located and the luminance and the color of the lights, they're all over the map, and it probably would be nice to improve them, especially if we don't have to do it at the village's expense.
Well, the medium output ones, there's one at 42 in Westwood, and I walk past that a lot at night with my dog. And I wouldn't want it higher than that, but let's put it this way, I don't think we would need it higher than that. And I also drive in and out of there at night, like not a lot, but enough, it's my street. And so whether I'm coming from the north or the south, can I see that's not a place where somebody's always crossing the street? They don't, but I can see enough, and I'm starting to have trouble, driving at night and seeing. But if there were somebody riding a bike at 9:30 at night when it's dark now, I could see them. So the medium wasn't too light, it was enough. I don't know what high would look like, but it was okay.
Can I get off on a tangent for a second, because I brought this up multiple times. And that is the intersection of Mill and Bayshore. And because of the decorative lighting that we have downtown, which highlights the sidewalks
Mhm.
well enough in their spacing, you cannot see people in the crosswalk
Mhm.
at
A lot of
that
times you can't.
intersection.
That's true.
And I have asked us to research to have a taller pole, maybe a different light. Cause I think it's a miracle that there has not been an accident there with a pedestrian, because it is hard to see.
It's dark, you're right. Yep.
You're referring to the poles that we put up there, right? Are they the ones that we maintain there?
I'm talking about a totally different pole, something that's taller.
Yeah, she's
Right.
referencing the ones that are currently there. that
Okay,
don't-
so which are the ones that we maintain, right, Eric? Cause I know,
Yeah, the downtown strip, we're in charge of those.
And so this, whether it's a north-south, mostly it's the east-west crosswalks. That people are, and especially if there's cars parked there and somebody walks out from, whether it's daylight or evening, but at night, if somebody walks out from behind a parked car. It can be difficult to see.
Yeah, Wisconsin Public Service has nothing to do with the downtown strip lighting.
Yeah, I know that.
I think if we wanna do something to make that intersection safer, you put bump outs there and you put lighting on there. I don't think it's a matter of getting taller lights to get that intersection lit better, because when the problem is really, you're crossing 4 lanes there. And like you say, no matter what time of day it is. So if you wanted to, if you could, and I think we've taken back 4 parking spots in that area. To try and get a little bit better visibility, but I don't see brighter lights making it that people being more visible there. I mean, I admittedly walk that a heck of a lot more at night than I drive there, but I don't think there's an issue seeing people that I can perceive going through there. I would disagree with
I
that.
have a problem with it
I think that is.
all winter long. Or when it starts getting lighter earlier and I'm still awake and I'm out driving.
I'll have to look at that. I mean, I truly
Yeah.
just,
And especially because, probably mostly in the spring and in the fall. When there's still a lot of people here. Yeah, it's not the height of the season, so you still have a lot of pedestrian, traffic. And they're not biking, they're not doing other things that they would most likely be wearing reflective wear. They're just people in our downtown, and that just.
so I do believe that I do remember talking about that. No, that's before Eric, you were in charge of the department. Cause I remember the answer at that time was to clean out. The glass things were completely full of bugs. And they went and cleaned them out thinking that would make it brighter. But maybe that is something Eric can research and after as a research, bring it back, because we're gonna have to budget for that. He's gonna have to budget what the options are and then what they cost, where they should go.
I was here when we started cleaning out the bugs. I think we got to about 90% of the street lights. I'm not sure if it made that big of a difference, but slightly getting the bugs out of them.
Yeah, and it sounds like it wasn't enough. We actually
Yeah.
have to look at going higher, what that would cost.
I remember we talked about solutions for crosswalks because that is an exposure for sure. That we have to have permission or the state has to approve them.
To put reflectors in or something like that.
Well, there's beacon systems, there's motion lights, so that if people are there, you get a flash. If nobody's there, then they don't light up, but there are other lighting solutions that might augment what we have. To make it
And
easier,
that would be great,
yeah.
but we have to
So we-
address that. in
That would be
discussion.
ideal.
Didn't we talk about the fact that at crosswalks, though, we have to have state approval or?
We do, every year since I've been here, we've discussed the crosswalks downtown. We've looked at, do we use reflective, do we use signage in the middle? Do we do bump outs? I mean, we've looked at a lot of options. We looked at murals in the crosswalks. I mean, we looked at a lot of stuff. Whenever you're doing anything in the right of way of Bay Shore Drive, we do need the DOT's approval,
What if it's on?
which
what if-
isn't a big deal,
No,
but
what if it's on the curb too? Well, I'm just saying, there are lighting solutions, I've seen them in other communities.
Mhm.
That when the people are there, a motion sensor senses them. And I don't know if it's timed or if it's just related to their motion. You get flashes, and if you're driving down the street, you'll see some yellow lights flashing to warn you that there are people in crosswalk.
So the ones I've crossed a couple different places in Wisconsin, they're button operated, the ones I have, they're not
Okay.
actually motion operated. And while I don't love how they look, they're extremely effective.
Mhm.
That is the safest way to cross the road. When you've got those orange flashing lights,
Yeah.
people see you, you can cross the road there.
The Door County Auditorium has that, and it's really effective after concerts. You can't see people crossing.
Right on 57 or on 42, right?
Is it the one that's closest to the lower entrance to the auditorium or the one that's higher that's closer to the Y?
They're for sure on the north side of that.
The north
curve.
side of it, yeah, okay.
They're on there, I think there's two of them, because you
It
could,
might,
They
yeah,
would
when you
be
go by the Y, but also when you go
Yeah,
across
one or
toward
the
the
other.
annex.
where they're building the annex, okay.
Yeah.
Wonder what and they're flashing lights or?
yeah.
Have to drive by there, okay. Well, somebody has to get across it. Okay. Well, they would know. And if, of course, maybe that was part of that, remember they had that big project. I wonder if it was part of that project, that they built.
well, we can look at that again. I mean, it was, I think, maybe 2 years ago, this committee said no, but we can. Different board, we can look at it and see if it's something, that we can, something we're interested
I
in.
just think that. Referencing what Mike said, if there's all kinds of different options out there, we just need to find what one will work best. Maybe flashing lights downtown, maybe we don't want that. Or maybe there's something else, maybe we do want that. But it needs to be investigated and we'll choose what works and what's
Yeah.
best for the village.
Well, Gibraltar would know, or, I mean, they would have had to do it with the DCA, so.
Yeah, we can call the DOT too. They have.
Right there, no, okay.
I'm going to a conference in about a week that's talking about. Amongst other things, pedestrian access, so I'm sure I can come back with a myriad of
Okay.
options.
So we can put that on our next agenda. As far as the streetlight discussion, what do we want to tell WPS about those remaining 8 lights? The lowest that you have? They're telling us in this, that was, because of this fixture that we have here, they can replace it with the high output or the medium output. Do we tell them if medium is as low as we go, that's what we'll take, but we prefer as low as we can get?
We'll just take the median, yeah.
I think we should ask for something lower than that. I mean, if we're going from presuming that is 90 watts to 45 watts, that's still a pretty decent amount of output there, and on some of these. I truly wonder why, and I asked my neighbors about it, a couple of years ago, and Shirley Adams told me, no, I want the street light there, but I don't know that we really need a street light on Pheasant Court. And I wonder how other people feel about that. The other question that I had is, who determines if we should have these streetlights or not? If people don't want the streetlight there in the area? I mean, can they come to Parks, Properties and Streets and say, we don't want the streetlight anymore?
Been there for what, 35 years, it looks like.
Well, yes, the public would come, they can't just ask staff to take it down, you know, that
Sure.
would have to be a committee decision. And if it's one that is owned and operated by WPS, we would have to work with them on that. WPS is trying to, I mean, I think it's fantastic that they are reaching out saying, hey, you guys want to be dark sky friendly? We are willing to help. This is what we can do. This is what we've done already. I think they would, if we said, hey, we don't even want the street light here, I think they would work with us on that. With the ones they have here, of course, since the beginning of the year, they have replaced all the other ones, and they're just waiting on these 8. They may have already been ordered and replaced them because they've been waiting. You know, we
Right.
started this conversation quite a while ago, so I think we should,
Well, to bring it to closure, I would vote on medium.
or
So-
lower if we can get it,
Sorry?
or lower
Yeah,
if we
I mean,
can get
that's
it.
what I would
So
say.
just going back, just real quick. Again. The way I read our update on this, the lights that they're talking about are the only ones that don't meet the standard, is that what we're,
No, they've already replaced 76 of them.
okay, it's just
Or, I'm
that,
sorry, they've replaced, I'm sorry,
a lot,
almost all of them, there's 8 left of
okay?
the 76.
What it might be nice to ask them is, why are they all so different? I mean, if it's,
Well, your purple ones are ones that are put out there, and there's still a handful of them out there, and while I think those purple ones are great because they put out a little bit less light and a little bit different spectrum, so it's not as disruptive. Those are actually faulty filters on the LEDs.
right, those are defective.
So there are some that
They'll
are,
replace those for us.
they will,
They've told us to let them know if any citizen knows of a purple one, let them know, because there's something wrong with it.
Okay,
but I also suspect there's slight revisions on the bulbs going out because they're getting these over a course of time, because they have started putting these LED bulbs in, I think 2 years ago or more.
Well,
okay.
that's valid, yeah.
So-
All I'm saying is that there's a wide
It's
variation
quality of the bulb.
of the
consistency.
lighting when you look at intersections or mid-street. Maybe some of it has to do with the height of the poles because they're a little inconsistent too. But over time, if we're worried about lighting and making sure we're safe, but we don't overdo it because of our dark skies initiative, we should ask them, you know, to make sure they're updating these as necessary. It's energy savings, it's more inviting lighting, and it's more consistent. Not that big a deal. I don't want to get us off track, but I was really surprised when you pay attention how much variation there is.
When you look at the data on it, I think you have some light poles that went up quite a while ago,
Mhm.
and the fixtures were different.
Sure.
So I think over time, I think things will all get updated.
Okay,
Right now, I think they're just trying to do the best they can, saying, hey, if you guys want to be dark sky friendly, this is how we can help with what we've got.
So we're good with medium or less, everybody? So we have consensus on that?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Next up is 5D concession stand bids. We need to send a resolution to the board.
Yeah, as you saw in the packet, the bids came in, more than double what we expected. And so I, researched it and then I verified it with Randy that what we can do is ask the board for a resolution, to reject all of them. Otherwise, we have to accept one. And then we would be in charge of doing it ourselves, which means we could subcontract that out. So it was just a different approach. Instead of bidding it out and saying, hey, you take everything, be in charge of everything, we would, contact Carlson Erickson or Portside or one of those and see.
For
if they can do
vans,
it.
they build.
Vans, yeah. I know Portside I think just did the one in Sebastopol. But I mean, there's a lot of options there.
Would we still be eligible for the grant that we have?
Yes, we still have the grant.
So just to give me a 30-second education, we went through the process that we went through because it was required in order to receive the grant?
No. State law is so we're a municipality, so we have to put our projects out for bid. And it used to be that you could have your projects designed and built by the same company. You can no longer do that. Don't quote me, I think it was 2017, maybe the law changed, or maybe it was 2014, but you now have to have, because they want to prevent a monopoly, right? So now you have to have designed, but you have to put it out for bid to have it designed. And then once you have it designed, you put it out for bid for construction, so.
That part I get, and we did that, so we
We
have
did
our
all that.
design. We went out. I'm
For
just
bid.
wondering, why didn't we give it to locals to bid on earlier? We,
Well, we put it out for
they could
bid.
have,
Yep, we put it out for bid and they could have,
But they didn't.
it was, I think sometimes. I guess you'd have to ask the contractors, but. The way I view it is I think sometimes there's a little intimidation, this went out for bid, you're getting all these big bids, well, we're not even gonna waste our time on that. I know a lot of smaller contractors will not waste their time on bid packages, cause when you see it come through in a formal bid package. It's pretty detailed what you have to look at and what you have to bid on.
sure.
Whereas I think a lot of local builders, show me the floor plan, show me the specs, let me bid on it, let me tell you what it's gonna cost.
So what I'm missing is we're not gonna accept one of these three bids, right? If let's say we
know
don't.
that yet.
We don't know
Okay,
that,
okay, let's say we don't. Now what happens?
well,
The way I heard this being explained is I thought you said we can go out to local companies
Well,
and ask them,
so by law, we have to accept the lowest bid,
okay,
unless. There's some reason, and our reason is it's more than double what our budget
right,
is.
right,
So. What we would have to do by law to not accept one of these lowest bids is the board has passed a resolution by 2/3 vote rejecting these bids.
okay,
And then, once that has occurred, then the community can go out and subcontract that work.
and still be eligible for the grant.
Yeah, the grant is totally separate.
Okay, that's fine, thank
As a
you.
matter of fact, that's what's tying us to that
Okay.
dollar amount, because the grant was for X amount of dollars.
Yep,
We don't have any more than
Okay.
that for this particular project. So if
Okay.
that bid, so whoever does the work, if it's not for the amount of the grant, we can't move forward unless. Finance or the board comes up with a different financial or source
Okay.
coming for it.
I
Thank
make
you.
a recommendation to the village board, that we deny all bids.
And,
Second,
and proceed with, staff subcontracting the work.
yes. I don't know if that's a motion, but second. Okay.
You have to say all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 5E, post office lease renewal.
Okay, so we are to the point, where we have the lease to renew. As you saw in the packet, they do things a little different now. The post office no longer works directly with us on the lease. Instead, they go through a third party, and that third party gets a percentage of whatever they get a commission basically. So the annual rent, that is proposed in the lease is $20,565. And then we would have to pay a brokerage fee to a signing of 4% of that amount. So, but however, the post office lease cannot exceed 25,000 per the post office, okay? So if you take the proposed lease that they're willing to pay, which is $1,713.75 a month. Which is 80 cents per square foot. And you have to pay that 4% due their broker. That puts the total cost at $24,678 And we can't exceed 25,000 anyway, so our hands are kind of tied. We really don't have an option on this unless we go lower. Or don't do the lease.
Where does the $25,000 come in? Is that specific to Sister Bay or is that just?
No, that's from the post office.
I mean, like they're saying like for no contract that they've done for any building is over.
I don't know. I just know they said, the lease with commission cannot exceed 25. Now, is that different? I'm sure Chicago or, there must be differences. So there must be criteria where they cap it at 25,000. I didn't ask them about why the cap was 25.
I make a motion that we increase, the contract to $25,000.
Including the 4%.
Second,
I have just one question, and I agree, but so on the renewal options. Renewal options for the second round would be started. The period is March 1st of 31 and we're 25, so that's. That's a weird time for it to start, isn't it? Shouldn't it be starting in 30? I'm on page 24.
Don't know why it's written that way.
I mean, they're basically, they go, oh, we get to renew it for, but, and I get that, it's just the dates didn't look right. There's a year missing.
Well, so it's a 5-year lease.
Yep.
And this would become effective till 26. That's why.
Oh, that's why, sorry, yeah, I forgot.
We're looking at a lease for
Yeah,
next spring.
okay, I got it. All right, now, are we held to that annual rent if we sign this lease
Yes,
for future
until. As
41?
if we don't exercise a renewal option, we could cancel it at that time.
I see, but.
But as long as we renew it.
If we renew it, then that's the rent, what the rent would be,
Right.
and that,
Then we can't get the 25,000 then for those.
so what about that 4% or 5% by then, or whatever it is?
well, they don't get that every year, do they?
I would think every contract.
Every
Every
contract.
contract possibly.
Every contract, well, the one that kicks in on 3/1/31. If the annual rent, which they're talking about is 21,593. 4% of that, are we gonna have to?
I will ask them about that.
Right, because I would get rid of the dollar.
I don't want to.
In that renewal and number 4 renewal options.
And just tell them it's 25,000, which includes your brokerage fee, period.
Right, and not worry about the next time because.
Sure.
I guess I don't like just having this $25,000 not explained. I'm not saying they didn't tell that to you, Julie, but them just saying that this is $25,000, I don't buy it. I don't buy that that's what they do to everybody. I'm sure that that's where they start at from negotiating point, but I don't think that we should just accept that off the get-go. We said, no, we want this to come to be something that approximates fair market value, because I don't think 80 cents a square foot is fair market value in Sister Bay right now. Should we discount it? Maybe, but I just don't like taking that. $25,000 is all you're gonna get, and by the way, you have to pay 4% from that it's not coming to us, or it's not going to you.
Well, we're coming back and telling them that we're gonna roll that into the rent, which will go to 25. But, I'm wondering, in the last lease that we had, was there a not to exceed in that?
I did not think that was easy.
Okay.
I think it's fair to go back to them and say, no, we don't want to be capped at 25. What you got? Or what are the options?
What you might find is that by geography and market and building description, their sourcing people have a chart of what they're willing to pay and then do the calculation. I'm guessing they'll have some explanation for the number.
You're probably right.
I would think so, because the third party is like a real estate company.
Doesn't mean you
Yeah.
can't negotiate with them if they really like, because they would have a lot of costs to relocating, so. If we think it's too low of a rate and we want to negotiate with them, I have no problem, I would support that. But I think they're probably gonna have some explanation for why they did what they did. That's rational, that they'll try and rationalize. Now, I don't know if it'll make sense, but they might try.
Well, I don't know I don't think they'll have a lot of relocation expenses because this came up about 8 years ago. if my timeline is correct, when they were thinking about closing Sister Bay and moving to Fish Creek.
Yeah, and they weren't worried about the cost. Well, that's a pretty close move though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you
So
know.
at this point, go back.
On the other hand, I look at this and say, hey, we got them to agree to stay in Sister Bay
Well,
for the
that's-
next 5 years.
Right,
In a nice location and a good building. We might have to do a little painting or something on it, but
otherwise they pay for everything else.
I mean, I think it doesn't hurt to ask, right? I mean, they sent the post, the reasons why this is taking a while is as you know, they sent the postcards out to see if anybody had other property that was better suited for them or that they might want to look at. They came back and said, this is the one we want to lease. So I think we could ask,
But I think we should ask them for their criteria, because I agree with you, Mike. There is probably something, the size of the population, the size of the building, how many employees, et cetera, that. And there's a formula and this is it.
Time to determine.
okay,
But what is it?
I guess I think and somebody from the USPS can certainly be watching this as it's posted on the internet now. But I think that we should, send Julie back saying like, we don't buy this 25, you gotta, that doesn't make sense, you've gotta explain that to us.
sure.
And say, we think it's worth more than that, I'm not saying we're gonna say, you have to give it that much more, but we think it's worth more than that.
Yes, good question. I think you should ask them if the 4% is annual, or just a one-time fee.
I think they state it's a one-time fee, right?
Yeah, I think they need that in writing though.
I think that's,
I'd have to go back to the original here. It was total commission 4%. That's an annual fee.
they based it on the annual amount.
Yeah.
Of rent.
That 4% is 4% of your annual rent. And then, do we want to ask about number 4 too? I mean, clearly the dollar amounts of number 4 would change based on our answer. But then, the line after that, and I'm sure it's standard, I know this is standard in all our contracts, but it says, provided that the postal service and they have a right to renew.
What page you want? So
I'm
sorry.
sorry, page 24 of the packet.
Yeah.
2 of 3 of the agreement.
Yeah.
Number 4. So the renewal is, they have the right to renew, with 0 days notice. Says, if you look below that little chart, it says, provided that the postal service send notice of exercise of such renewal option is sent in writing to the landlord at least 0 days before the end of the initial lease term and each renewal term. So they don't have to give us any notice they're renewing, the way this is written, the way I understand it. They can just, it automatically renew. So that building, so we have to make sure we're committed to that building till 2041.
No,
Or we just say, no, we don't want those renewal, we don't want the renewal.
right, I wanted
Okay.
the chart right above it to go away with the period and the annual rent.
So tell them no automatic renewal options and not those amounts.
I don't think we want to necessarily, but I think we should pull the auto renewal from this altogether 5 years from now. To try and put a dollar amount on that, amongst other things, is
Right.
problematic.
Right,
This isn't an auto renewal. What they do say is the right to following renewal options. It's not. an
Well, but that-
auto renewal.
Well, from their perspective, if they want to, I guess I'm looking at it from, they can automatically renew it. They don't have to. They could,
Yeah, they can walk away without giving us any notice.
and if they can walk away, we should be able to walk away. On 0 days notice, so that we can also say, no, tomorrow you're gonna have to move out. That's obviously unrealistic, but if they want, I mean, like. It should be equal. At the same point, Julie, we know who you're negotiating with. We know that. This is slow and challenging.
Okay, any other concerns with this that maybe I can express to them?
Anybody else?
that's all I have.
So the motion was made by Berto, second by Laskowitz to approve the lease with at the price of $25,000. Does that need to be amended?
Probably,
Do you want to rescind your motion?
I'll do that
Okay.
So should,
and have it come back.
And
Direct
rescind a
staff?
second? Was there a second on that?
I seconded it, and I'll second the revision.
You'll rescind it?
We're rescinding it, we're not revising it,
Then we're not revising, rescinding.
okay.
Okay, so I'll get answers to this and bring it
So
back.
there's no
next time.
motion and then it comes back.
I just was looking up, it does look like this 4% thing, a lot of people are not happy about.
Which is, so it's, I guess they're probably consistent.
And so we never paid that in the past, Julie, that was.
That's new.
new.
So it's consistent then. I think you're right, they probably have, okay, this county in this state or this state in this whatever, that's what we're gonna pay, okay. Okay, sorry, 5F recycling day report.
Heidi, do you wanna just maybe summarize that real quick, how it went?
I don't know, I thought it went really well for my first time ever having done it. The utility location was really nice. It was a nice option to have. I've heard in the past that the sports complex is narrow, so it's hard for
It is.
the vehicles
Makes
to
it
get
hard.
through. But it worked great in that open area at the plant, and Megan has said that she's willing to, give the location if you wanna do it there in the future. We did have a little issue, I'm sure you read in the report, that the ad didn't get printed, but it did get posted on the website and pushed out to all of our subscribers, so we did have a good number of people, I felt, show up still. The recycling truck was full when they left, they couldn't have accepted any more electronics or metal recycling for that vehicle.
Interesting, so it's just other stuff.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but,
I am a little concerned about the, our response from Sunshine Resources, because it sounds like, so they're doing shredding and it sounds like they got a lot of stuff that was not shredded, very little shredding.
100 pounds of non.
So it was
I
magazines.
might have
right?
brought most of it.
No, but that's magazines and things like that, it's not things that needed to be
Right.
confidential. Yeah.
Newspapers and magazines, because some people are just afraid of anything that has their name on it going into recycling.
So do we have to be more specific?
I believe what we said, that it was a secure service. You brought your stuff in
And that's not-
containers and they took it right and batched it.
Yeah, that's not the issue so much as you're paying to shred somebody's paper. Did you need to pay
Doesn't
to
need to
shred
be
that?
shredded, you could just.
No, I know, but I'm saying it was really a valuable service that we offered
Oh,
to
yeah.
residents. Whether it was used the right way or not, that might just be a training discussion.
And we only had 2 individuals who were unhappy with it not being on-site shredding, and then they saved theirs for taking to Liberty Grove in the fall.
Yeah, I think maybe next year we have to work harder to make sure we're not getting something that doesn't need to be shredded, because if we paid $568 to shred stuff that could have went in recycling, that's not a wise use of the money.
So could we have a recycling thing there and say, hey, look, this doesn't get shredded, it goes here? Not that they need, but who does the work with all those newspapers and goes, okay, it goes here, I don't know.
Yeah, we could have staff stand there, we gotta look at the cost to have staff there too, it'd be nice if you could just have a sign and people would follow this. I don't know how well that works though.
I was really impressed. Heidi did a great job. All the people there did a great job. It was a nice
Good
day,
experience. It was great.
easy, good traffic flow. Lot of variety, diversity of stuff we could bring. It was great.
So in the ad, and I don't know why the Pulse missed those printings, but in the ad, in terms of shredding, did it say no newspapers, no newspapers or magazines?
No,
Then maybe that's something you'd be careful about,
okay.
so people know that. I mean, half people read it and understand. But it's definitely worth it. I mean, I go every year and it was great. So thanks.
Was that the first time we did the secure shredding?
No,
We did that before.
we do it every year.
That's probably been going on for a decade.
Yeah, I didn't know that we did the shredding.
No, we might have changed who was doing the shredding,
Okay.
but it's been, as far as I know, it's been offered. for a while.
Okay, on to staff reports, which is item 6. So Parks and Streets. Does anyone have any questions about Eric's
I have a
report?
couple of questions. One is just a typo under 7. Should be green tier, not green tire.
Okay.
And pertaining to number 8, the swim raft, once the water warms up, staff will dive down to manually retrieve the chain. From my understanding, with the water temperature, what it is right now, that water is not going to warm up until after the 4th of July. So are we gonna be without a raft until then?
I mean, if it's that cold, people are probably gonna be swimming anyways,
I had people in their swimming suits in the gas station this weekend.
Oh, yeah. So what about wetsuits? What about,
Right,
um,
somebody scoop,
uh,
having somebody else go and do it, scuba diver
Like a
or
diver.
something.
is it heavy? What we need to pull up?
What we lost was our little chain that guides us to the main anchor chain that the raft gets tethered to. The ice snapped that chain off of the swim dock over the winter. So we've been trying while we have time to throw our magnet out there and our grappling hook. But the problem is in the winter, the sand buries it.
Yeah,
So it's no small feat even just to jump in,
okay.
dive down, find it.
Eric, how deep is it?
Right now, you're probably looking at around 7 to 8 feet deep right there.
So, a wetsuit, but a diver would be best. Oh, it is.
We have a lot of divers around here.
Yeah, we do. I wonder if, well, so we need to.
I just
find a
think
diver.
that's a really long time to be.
Oh,
on
yeah,
that
for
raft.
sure. I mean, this weekend's gonna be in the 80s. I think. Do you, so you need some help finding a diver?
Yeah, if anybody knows a diver.
Well,
Well-
there's,
What about the fire department?
sorry,
What about the fire department?
right, again,
Somebody,
Chris Miller dives,
Chris Miller,
yeah.
okay. Do you know who else does that?
So we could ask somebody in the fire department
Okay,
and then. And I'm sure they probably know somebody if they don't have somebody.
do you feel comfortable asking somebody in the fire department?
I can reach out to Mike.
Okay,
Yeah, that's no
Good
problem.
training.
all right, see if that's works,
Sure.
okay. Okay, that's a great idea.
So I have another question that's not in here. There's been a whole bunch of small trees dying out at the sports complex, and I was wondering if we have figured out why that is happening.
Where are they? Where, what
They're the
location?
ones that Steve Mann is planted.
But which along, along
Planted
Autumn
about-
Court or?
I don't know, 25 or so of them, and he told me a while ago that he's like replaced 20 of them.
The ones along Autumn Court or the ones on Wood, do you know?
I know he did some work out along Woodcrest last year, if I remember, because those were the ones. He had asked if he could go out there and we told him, yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
That was.
Well, because he planted all the other ones around the ice rink and everything.
Uh-huh.
Years and years ago.
And I know Eric's crew planted some this year. Eric, do you know what trees Denise is?
Yeah, they're around the big ball field. I've had conversations with Mike. I mean, I think it's just a mix of where they are on that hill, that slope. They're not catching the water quite like they would in a flat area. So we're trying different things, different fertilizers. I just instructed staff not to weed whack around that area, to let the grass kind of grow up, so it's more of a retainer, a kind of sponge to soak it up and leave it in there. I think it's just, they're hard pressed on that hill where they're planted currently right now. We're gonna step up the watering too. I know when the banners are out, last year I had the sprinklers start doing 360 on them instead of just going on the field. Had really good results once the banners came down. But once the banners go back up, it kind of blocks that water. And, so we got our water truck out right now. We've been watering like the new shrubs that are by the performance pavilion, overflow parking.
Yeah.
And, we're gonna be going out, we've already started to go out and water the other trees as well. So, with more fertilizer I know we put a little Milorganite in at the beginning of this year. And we did tree spikes last year to try to assist them and everything, but yeah, I was talking to Steve just last week about this, and we're kind of perplexed on what's going on with these, because he said when he did the Little League field, he had about 25% die off. You know, it's pretty common, they're small. With these, we're almost at around 70-80% die off
Wow.
on replacement of these. There's been, I've been out to the games. I mean, this are little things, kids by the sled hill, they'll grab and yank them around. I know the guys have hit them with the weed whackers. And I know I've instructed them now just to let the grass grow. And I don't know if it's just, some of them are on some pretty steep angles. So I don't know if they're just not retaining the water, if their roots aren't getting down deep enough at that angle that they're at. But that's why we're gonna step up the watering, the hand watering process with these moving forward.
What, I can't pronounce the word that starts with an M that you're fertilizing it with.
Milorganite.
Thank you. What is in that?
Milorganite is nitrogen.
Deer don't like it. It's a decent fertilizer.
Yeah, but is that a little,
What I
is
actually
that a little
discovered
strong
was,
for a small tree?
I think you're right. And in that discussion with Steve Mann, last week that I had with him, he advised not to do that. He says that's, they need phosphorus. They don't need nitrogen. So, and then I was like, well, we tried that with this tree spikes last year and we had, you know, we didn't have the effect that I was hoping for. So we tried Milorganite this year. We're still not getting the effect that we're looking for. So what we ended up having a discussion about is maybe they're just not retaining the water that we're putting on them. So we're gonna let the grass grow up around them. So we're gonna avoid the weed whackers hitting them, which also cut and cause damage. And hopefully that grass, I know it's not the most sightly of scenes, having that grass grow right there up around, but I'm hoping that it'll be more like a sponge effect. The morning dew, the water is just gonna hold it in. Because I think what we're fighting an uphill battle with just where they're planted and everything like that. And it gets incredibly dry on those hills too.
How old are they when they're dying? How long have they been in place before they die?
They were planted at the beginning of last year.
Oh, so they're new.
Yeah, they're all just little saplings.
Yeah.
This is way back when I was doing maintenance and that, there was a product called a tree gator that we put around the tree.
Okay.
You'd zip it up and you'd water it and it would trickle out water for about a part of a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Or you'll see in the cherry orchards when they do, a new planting, you have a 5-gallon bucket with a hole, small hole in the bottom.
It just drips.
these guys, I think they had like 15 gallons on there, but same thing. Just it's a matter of delaying that, especially when you have
Right.
heavily drained soil anywhere that we've got up here.
Yeah.
Put a super hose on it and let it run all day. Does that work? Have you
Right
tried?
now, all of our available hose outlets are being utilized to regrow grass.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing really good results out there, so there might be a possibility of me running a very long hose on back, so unfortunately, there is no hose bid on that back side of that field for us to tie into, because that would be perfect.
You don't have, so you don't have a faucet?
Correct.
Yeah, it's too far away.
But I do have an army of hose out there right now, watering every day to get
So
that
maybe-
grass
okay.
to grow.
So maybe update at the next meeting, see how we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into, I like that idea about the bucket and, more of like a reservoir for them.
Okay.
Yeah, they still make them. They're 25 gallons each. Tree
Yes,
gator.
slow drip is. Okay, great. All right, well, that village looks very nice.
Thank you.
Yep. And so,
I would add that, my grandchildren were very, impressed with the robotic mowers you had running.
yeah, very cool.
It's been
No, but I
very
think
popular.
it crashed and burned.
Yeah,
the
I
other
think they
day.
start and stop because they said they were going for a long time, like 2 days in a row. So,
No, I mean, it stopped working.
oh, it stopped.
I saw it dead over at the marina.
I think this, something that was surprising to me is how quiet it is, cause you can't hear it.
No,
I think that's the
Yeah.
most surprising thing to me too. It's like, is it even on? I mean, it's crazy.
How much are those things?
So that one, that model is close to $6,000.
Ooh,
It's a 2-acre one.
yeah.
We did not buy that, so everybody knows that's. a
No, that's
demo we're
okay.
trying to-
No,
Does it cut in straight lines or is it?
you can design it to do any kind of professional pattern that you'd like it to do.
I just noticed I have a lot of lawn to cut. That's what I was interested in.
Well, there's a nice, I mean, I saw a nice diamond pattern on that. That you've been
Yeah.
doing it. Does it,
Oh, I bet you guys are trying that out.
Yep.
what kind of requirements does it have? I mean, like, does it have to have internet at the base? Does it have to have it the whole area, or is it all just autonomous after you?
It's
Got it.
it's GPS guided,
Okay,
so.
But-
I'm not quite sure how it receives that though.
well, so it's either gonna be, it probably does like an IoT 4G connection, like to the cell towers.
It must do something like that to the cell towers,
So like there's a Husqvarna app you use that you
Right.
can, okay.
correct?
What's the warranty like on it if you're spending that kind of money? You know,
I never got quite that far on the warranty talk. I'm more encouraged and I've reached out to that sales rep about their 18-acre one. To see if we can get a demo out at the sports complex.
right?
I think that the price tag seems big, but when you look at the ongoing operating expense, I suspect that's a heck of a lot less than,
Not necessarily, because one of the guys told me it takes 15 minutes to cut that lawn. And one of the parks crew, and that you spend probably more time going around and then getting all the areas that it didn't get.
Mm.
That it's not necessarily cost efficient the way you may think it is. It's just one parks department.
sure, I suspect the bigger the area, the more efficient it makes, because on that smaller area, you're gonna have so many things to go around.
So it's battery powered and the battery has to just be recharged?
Yep, it's like a Roomba. It's got a charging dock and everything.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't foresee these down, I don't think the technology is quite there yet for our downtown park facilities. It's like what Nate was saying, I think where you're really gonna make the gains in saving labor and time is bigger areas, like the sports complex. Where you can invest in something like this that has a capacity to cut 18 acres in one day. And let that thing loose and time it up to go home during games or whatever. But, to be out there. It takes 2 guys 2 days a week to go and cut that facility. So if you could supplement that with this, all that time and labor that you'd be saving in the long run, I think would be beneficial.
I think time will tell, but I also suspect an electronic mower is a lot more reliable, takes less maintenance.
Correct.
they're reallocating those resources, okay. Okay,
I think the other thing that'll be interesting that's not ready yet, but they just started having it out there is automated snow blowers too. Again, those are not there, but as time goes on, I think it,
Yeah.
I could. All right, anything else on Parks and Streets report? Okay, Julie, moving on to admin report.
So in mine, just announce that we have made an offer to someone for the new administrative assistant, so they're gonna be going between administration offices and parks. And I have a typo in here, her start date was supposed to be June 4th, which would be tomorrow,
Okay,
I think, but it's
Tomorrow?
today.
Yeah.
I'm
So
a
it's
little messed up, it might have been this week, okay? And then we did hear from the library that they do have a new facilities operations manager. Not so much that this committee ever works with them, but Eric does, just so you're aware of that. And then one of the issues that I found out late last week was that Alliance Construction is behind on the parks maintenance building. As you know, it was supposed to be done by May 1st, then due to winter conditions, that was extended to mid-June. And now they're saying, end of August. That is not what the contract was for. They have said, I got an email today explaining why, and it was because some of the subcontractors couldn't get out there and then they got busy and so they fell behind. We can.
I don't
do
know that
something-
it should come back, we should wait a whole month. I think this needs to go directly to the board
Yeah,
at this month's board meeting.
yeah.
see what they wanna
Instead
do.
of waiting for parks and then it going to the July meeting.
I'm fine with that.
So bring it to the,
The board meeting.
board meeting to see what they wanna do. And it would be a contract negotiation. That would go under.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay, item 7, matters to be placed on a future agenda or referred to a committee official or employee.
I think that we should revisit or we should look at the possible alternate locations for encumbrances. After, I think that we get confirmation from the DNR that what kind of restrictions we have on those other locations we can encumber.
so I did get confirmation from the DNR,
Okay, you did.
so that's in the packet, yeah.
Alright.
Possible locations. Do you wanna just put it on or wait to see if somebody has any? Because I know I could not find any. I know Chris and I looked at several properties, the only ones. Well. I don't wanna discuss it now because it's not on the agenda, but okay. Possible locations for the parking route.
And in
I
that,
thought that was done already, Julie.
Well, I did, Chris and I went through every single one of them and. There was, the only other site I could find was the White property. And,
Because it was my understanding that it has to be in a certain vicinity.
it does, yep. Cause I've talked with the DNR and Chris and I looked at different properties. I'm not aware of any other place it could go.
so can I know we're not gonna talk about this, but I think there might have been an error in there because it says. That the land size that we gave up for parking was 0.063. And then it said it was replaced by 0.6.
It's 0.63.
It's a lot smaller.
Yeah, 0.6, so it's 0.63, so it's a little over half acre.
Oh, it's not 0.063, it's 0.63.
0.63.
Okay, so it's a little over half acre. And then I would just suggest.
This is not an agenda item.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'll put that on there to discuss, possible locations. I'm not aware of any, so if any member has some, let me know. If not, do you wanna take it off or have it different? I mean, if the agenda item is discuss possible other locations and there are none. How do you wanna do that?
Well, I think it should be the same thing that kind of was in the packet.
Just leave it the same title?
Yeah,
and
goes to
okay,
the board.
all right. All right.
And then, let's see, we have operations. Let's see, we have, if the operations agreement for there, if ready. Updated version of the ice rink lease. We have any other new ideas on, lighting and crosswalks? On, post office contract?
And we have our walk around coming up, right? So.
And then the
yeah.
parks maintenance meeting and the walk around is the 16th at 1:00. Meeting at the gazebo.
Wasn't something added to that meeting today, Heidi?
Yeah, the admin building site review committee wanted to share their report
To this committee?
to the special walking tour.
Oh, they did?
No, we,
No,
That
we,
was directed to the board.
No,
That's because Dick was gonna be gone for the board meeting, so that's, I said, if he wants to present it, that's the only chance he's gonna get.
We
Well, that
said-
Makes sense.
walking tour only.
Yeah, no, that should go, that can go to the board. That should go to the board. 1 PM at the 16th, no, sorry, 1 PM, the 16th at the gazebo.
Right.
The one thing I was approached by, two village residents, they aren't here, I thought they'd come here today. They're, kicking around, so this is just out there, that there's interest in a space at the, lakefront park for playing chess. Like
Oh,
and they would seem to be willing to raise money to make it
Mhm.
happen.
it's funny, once upon a time, a long time ago.
I thought they were
SBA.
gonna send a letter or either show up today, but they didn't. I just mentioned it. I don't know if they'll
Yeah.
follow through.
So we actually, when we discussed the gazebo addition, there was discussion at that time about buying like the special tables for chess. I know the committee at that time said no, but I mean, I
If they
think
wanna do fundraising.
if they want to do
He
fundraising.
talked
and
to
bring
me,
it-
I told him to come here.
So we told them the same thing.
Do you have their contact, Mike, maybe that I can get a hold of them and ask them
I
for a
do.
presentation? Cause it was, I think people liked the idea, it's
Yeah.
just that it was outside the budget.
It was an expense thing.
Uh,
It's a great
I'll
idea.
email it to you.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be in the shape.
And I don't know who the other guy was, so.
The other thing I thought about for the walk around was, as we walk around, and I think we talked about this, but I don't remember, was looking for spots for historical markers. And then there was also the village tree planting effort, so I don't, or plan or whatever, I don't know if that's something that we would think about as we do the walk around, but. Okay, anything else that anybody else has for future agenda or referrals? Okay, I have, the next meeting is the walking tour on the 16th. And then the next meeting, oh, this is what we wanted, I wanted to look at actually,
July 7th.
July 7th, yeah. Okay. That's the Monday after the 4th, that's okay with everybody, I'm assuming, right? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Adjourn, thank you.